Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy the Geek Takeover coming at you with another X-Men 97 Season 2 Episode 8, The Dead Man Tana reaction. And with all of the X-Men news that's in the media today, this episode it, it didn't it didn't hit the it didn't hit home for me. It was a good episode. It had good moments. It has a great story to it, but it didn't do anything for me. And I feel like that's the theme of this season because I feel like a lot of the episodes are not like a linear story. I feel like the first four tell what's going to happen this season, and then we kind of deviate from that a little bit, and then we go back to it, and then we deviate, and then we go back. It feels like it's just not boom, 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 boom. But that's just me. So let's just start off with how the episode begins. The episode begins, Rogue is having a dream, nightmare, whatever you want to call it, about Gambit. She wakes up, and then the team are playing cards, and the X-Force is flying into their area. And here's the thing that I learned when they arrived at their X-Corps facility. Jubilee has been with the X-Force for months, seemingly telling me the X-Men have been back for months. And you're telling me this whole fucking time she's decided to roll with them, not go be with her team that has been her family? Make it make sense. Speaking of making sense, when they tell the team, oh hey, Gambit is alive by the way, no reaction. No crying, no disbelief, no impossible, nothing. The only time that there is a good reaction to finding out he's alive is Rogue and Nightcrawler. Nobody else seemed to give a shit. Okay, sure, Jean comes back to life multiple times. I have nothing. I have nothing to say. And then on top of that idiocy, they use Cerebro to find Gambit. Now, when you're looking for someone, the logic place is to, oh, let's go to their home. They use Cerebro, and Gambit is in fucking New Orleans on Bourbon Street. Did nobody fucking think to go to New Orleans first to look for this man? It's fucking stupid. And then on top of this, now we're getting into something interesting. Gambit ends up turning his old crew into his horsemen, henchmen, whatever, with some pretty cool new powers, I guess. And meanwhile, the X-Force and the X-Men, they're taking their plane and they're flying to New Orleans. And while they're doing this, they get jumped by the henchmen. They're all doing their own thing. Rogue goes off somewhere, and she finally reunites with Gambit. They have such great love. This show's really made me appreciate and love their story together. But then she touches him and nothing happens. The whole point was her to touch him and then suck out the bad stuff and leave all the good, Ribby. But nothing happens. My first thought, though, is, oh hey, Rogue, you can touch him now. Sure, later we find out he's not completely Remy, but this should be an exciting moment because now you can touch the man that you love without him hurting. I personally think that was a thing that would have been brought up, but hey, that's just me. And then Remy knocks out basically Rogue and knocks out Nightcrawler, but also turns Nightcrawler into one of his henchmen. That's a whole thing we'll get into in a second. After they leave, they blow up the plane, it's crashing, and then they need all the telekinesis or telepaths, whatever, to help land the plane. I low-key forgot that Cable is a telepath. I mean, it makes sense because his mom is Jean Grey, but it right over the head. Never would have thought about it. I always forget. And then now, when Rogue wakes up in the mansion, Nightcrawler's already turned to the dark side, if you will. Her and Gambit have a nice little dinner, and my first thought is, oh, even when he's reanimated and dead, true love is the only thing that remains. Now, I don't know how true that is now, when we find out what we find out later, but okay. And then after that, Apocalypse, we find out what Remy is looking for and what he's trying to do. He's trying to make Rogue immortal by using this gift that Apocalypse gave to an external back in ancient Egypt, which this external was the same one that Kang or Ramatut told her that you have a greater power and that you have more to do and that your power will be the one that can stop Apocalypse or whatever. I can't remember exactly what he said word for word. Anyways, we have a flashback, and my first thought was, aw, Apocalypse took what Rogue said to heart. He found love. And then she broke his heart. Aww. And then, they go through a wedding ceremony. Gambit calls forth the external so that way he can take the stone to turn Rogue immortal. And I thought, again, this is before we find out anything. He calls Apocalypse he calls himself the successor to Apocalypse. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Huh. That's kind of badass if you say it like that. And then he makes quick work of that external lady by killing her like that and taking the stone. And then, probably, quite honestly, the greatest wedding crashers of all time show up. The X-Men, full powered X-Men. You have the whole roster. They fight and tussle with the henchmen, horsemen, whatever. And then Nightcrawler enters the fray. And when I tell you, this man made quick work of this team. He took down everybody like it was nothing. Oh, and meanwhile, no, this hasn't happened yet. I don't think so. But as Nightcrawler's taking down the team, Gambit infuses Rogue with the gem, the stone, or whatever that he took from the external, which I will have a theory about that at the end. And while this is happening, Charles finally decides to do something, uses his powers to have a mind battle, if you will, with Gambit. And you're telling me this motherfucker could have done this the whole time? Instead of letting Nightcrawler put in belt to ass to his team, you could have done something? Charles. And then anyways, when he's in the mind battle, he's getting his ass whooped. For the most part. He's pulling then Gambit free, and then we find out that Apocalypse is really inhabiting Gambit's body. So this whole time, it's not Remy, it's Apocalypse. I have thoughts. So you're telling me that is Apocalypse in love with Rogue? Did he have a sense of self-justice when he killed the external? Was he like, ha, that's what you get, bitch? I don't know. Anyways, Charles eventually loses the mind battle, but Rogue ends up winning the love battle. She enters the fray. She pulls Remy free. Apocalypse is somewhere. And true love wins. Also, by the way, Cable is like, all right, yeah, fuck this facade. I'm going to kill him now because this is Apocalypse, not Gambit. So we have a whole little dispute there between the X-Force and the X-Men, minus Jubilee and Sunspot. They revert sides back to the X-Men. And the episode ends with Gambit being at home in the X-Corps, Charles saying we don't know how much time we have till Apocalypse takes over fully, and Rogue is just telling Remy that, she's going to help him. Also, the X-Force, they're packing up to go to war. And then the X-Factor joined the fray. And I thought we were going to have X-Force versus X-Men versus X-Factor. No. I would have then thought we would have had X-Factor and X Factor versus X Force and X Men. No, no, no. It is now X Factor and X Force versus the X Men. I don't know how that's going to go, but that was a really good ending, I must say, because I did not see that coming. Now, for my thoughts about what's going to come up in these next 2 episodes, I think ultimately the next one is going to be the showdown between the X teams. I hope that we get a really cool scene between Scott, Alex, and Cable, or Nathan. I think that would be really cool to see. It'll be really cool to see Polaris versus Alex. Which, by the way, Polaris wasn't in this episode, now that I think about it. Huh. Weird. Oh well. And lastly, my last thing is, I think when Kang told the External that she has more things to do to stop Apocalypse, this is that. She was meant to die, her powers are meant to go to Rogue, and Rogue is now going to be the one to free Remy from Apocalypse's grasp, and then maybe Cable will finally get to kill Apocalypse. I'm not entirely too sure. Maybe in the finale we'll get some kind of Charles bad guy thing leading to Onslaught, maybe. I'm not too sure. Also, by the way, they briefly mentioned that X Factor was having mech Sentinels. The fuck are mutants working with Sentinels? What the fuck? Anyways, the rating for this episode. It's a very low. I think I want to give it, for Rogue and Gambit, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I wanted to love it. I love the story. I didn't like the execution. Hopefully next week's will be better. You know, we only have 2 more weeks of this, and then we have Lanterns. So, only time will tell. Let me know, though, down in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Did you guys see any of this information coming? Let me know your theories about the finale. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to your friends for more content. And until next time, this has been the Geek Takeover.